present Nancy Hall, Ron DePonte, Herb Freeze, Phil Measy here in Fort Myers, and Bob Geppert and Chris Cassio on the phone. So we have a quorum. First order of business is the approval of the June 18th, 2005 minutes, of 2015 minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, changes? If not,
I have none.
Anybody?
No.
If not, I'll entertain a motion, maybe.
Move that we approve the
Nancy?
minutes.
Nancy moves, Herb seconds, all in favor? It's approved,
Aye.
4-0. Okay. We're on to the financial update. Chris, you wanna take us through where we stand year to date?
Okay, I tried to streamline this as much as possible, and I'm sorry I didn't send this ahead of time, but if you all look at the fiscal year 2016 proposed operating budget, and it's like how shared expenses has the residents, and then it has like a shaded section in the middle.
Yes.
It's a one sheet paper. This is the easiest way to do the financial update.
Okay, hold on.
It's a
Rather
one
than
sheet,
going
wait,
with
wait.
Hold on.
There's a paper in our
Hang on,
packet.
hang on a
We're
sec,
all trying to
Chris.
find that piece of paper that you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I've got, oh, you mean, so the one that says 2015 year-to-date, July?
No, that's, you can look at that one, but I think the easier one, just to see where we are year to date for the budget, for fiscal year, 2015
Yeah.
would be, look at the sheet that says at the very top, FY 26 operating
Yeah, and-
HOA.
Yeah, and that column that says July on that sheet.
Yes, correct,
Okay.
correct.
Where is that sheet?
Well, I happen to have printed it out myself.
It's about a third of the way through the pile.
A third of the way through the file.
There's a,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that.
Is this it?
Yeah, that's the sheet.
That's
the
it,
sheet.
that's it.
And it's the second to last column that you want.
Profit and loss budget, it's, there are numbers, so.
Yeah, that's good. I'll
It's
find
in
it.
there someplace.
Okay, Chris.
okay, the reason that I'm having you look at this is July is good policy reflect QuickBooks has the budget through, so I thought it would be 15, and then next to the 25th year to date, July 15.
Right.
So you can kind of compare fiscal year budget as opposed to just the budget through July.
Yes. Chris, you know, I find other states, the way the books are kept is almost useless.
The QuickBooks way,
Yeah, but has,
well, maybe since this was kind of like a new set the quick for me, I think it needs to be more detailed information. I can always like give stuff and make sure that we're not saying duplicate invoices from fee. But I guess the thing is that we the budget and not 9 months. I would give you, and I did at a time and then I did 2 columns when the sheet that I asked you to look at are really what we should be looking at every month.
Exactly.
So we should have the total year-to-date budget and the year-to-date expenses so far, and I can do that with QuickBooks.
yeah, okay, I think that would be more helpful.
Okay, that's
Lisa,
fine.
my-
Basically, the breakdown, and before we get into the review, just for the year 2015, where we stand right now, you can see that our budget was $1,953,533. Then what we've spent year-to-date through July 2015 is $712,013. A little bit over $712,000, which that's under budget by $297,520. And the reason that is so big is partially because of the landscaping costs that we have not incurred but budgeted for Cypress Grove tree line, and also the Affordable Care Act for Securitas. It goes together. So we're still under budget by $159,000. Try to wrap why we're so far under budget by $159,000. And if you go by each line of your O&M, starting with landscape and go down the line, everything in the shared expenses, we are under budget of street $1,000 spent $6,099. To the residence portion, we're under budget things as well. I think that we've always tended to highlight things that are over budget, like the street lighting, repairs and maintenance, and the electrical cost. but for the most part, everything else is under for July. So everybody,
Okay.
Wouldn't we have gotten to this is the budget through July? Is it,
so this is what we are, you will have more expenses, obviously.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is right now,
Okay.
we are still at 297. We're like about 169 here because we're not going to count in those landscaping costs for the cypress grove or tree line.
right,
So we still have 150 cents. And of course, we're going to spend those over the next 2 months, but we probably are not going to spend all $159,000 over the next 2 months, was my point.
Saying is based on our run rate, our spending rate, we are under budget.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
But you have, but take that with a grain of salt in some
You're right.
Because with street lighting repairs and maintenance, actually, in error, underfunded that rate. And also with, street lighting electric, that was underfunded because of the additional light poles, which are about $20.70 or whatever to operate through, and we didn't know when those were gonna be turned over to us. So those two items were really the ones that we are over budget by, but everything else we seem to be running under budget. But I want to preface this with, sometimes it seems like Ameriscape is very good at the monthly. They're not very good in sending us like irrigation repairs, will takes the bigger bills
Yeah.
that they do a couple times a year, take a little bit to get through. And I actually had already asked Tracy to try and make sure whatever is out there for this month, for this fiscal year, that we get those expenses in this fiscal year instead of carrying them forward to fiscal year 2016. I want to get those, all the monies that were budgeted and spent in fiscal year 2015 to be paid in 2015 and not kind of carried over. Last year, we had a couple of things that carried over.
yeah. Chris, could you hang on for a minute? We now have another John, we wanna see whether we can get him connected.
Sure.
Hello.
Hi,
There
John.
he is.
We're gonna try, now we're gonna try.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, guys.
All right. Chris- Hello, Chris, are you still there? Bob,
Who?
there.
I hear Chris.
Bob?
Here also.
Okay, all right,
Sounds like they're all there.
okay,
Full house.
all right. Okay. Chris, you wanna,
Sure. So I think going forward, I don't really on for the Sunline Water Act, which he budgeted. I don't think we're going to just lend and to use that. We average about $70,000 to $75,000 a month in
Okay,
bills
so that
as it
covers
is.
it.
I just wanted to bring everybody's attention that it seems like we're maybe just slightly under budget.
now, does that include, our checks that we're doing this year? Are we still?
So, yes, support rates, actually, I have an update from that, on those, and let me read what she says. We have actually, we've already paid for the gatehouse, that includes July 15 year-to-date number.
Mhm.
He wrote, started, and she said that the uplating at the Colonial entrance monument signs has been billed for that yet. And that's Indian hawthorns were removed and the replacements are started this week at the gatehouse and will be working over Boulevard. So we obviously won't get those either. My suggestion is that we get them in before our fiscal year end. We want those bills so that they get into the fiscal year 2015 as opposed to carrying forward to 2016.
And we'll still be under budget if spend those, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because we have so much landscaping we haven't been billed for, because the cypress grove and the tree line wall and the Affordable Care Act money that we budgeted for fiscal year 2015 has not been spent yet, because those items we haven't begun to pay for yet.
Okay,
Chris, this is Nancy. Give you what the bid amounts were for those items that we're going to have in this year's budget, so at least you have an idea of what.
Oh, and actually, I can tell you, hold on a second, Nancy, I have that total. This is we've already paid that $2,000. The MP rotators, hold on a second. 15,485, and the Indian hawthorns were 10. So if you add, and uplighting was 4,000. So if you add those together, we came up to 31,485. So we would have, we've only paid 2,000 of that so far. So we have another 29 yet to pay for those items that we approved at the June 18th meeting.
In addition, 75, so we're going, roughly this much that'll be out of this year's budget.
29.
Yeah.
Let me, Chris, this is Rod. Let me, very briefly, let me just try to, your best estimate, okay? By the end of this fiscal year, have a 6,000.
Correct. These
59.
monies are for the
Correct.
city hall. To accounts out there that I might not be aware of, like I know the things that we gave Tracy approval for, but I'm not sure of the date, irrigation repairs and things like that that Ameriscape is doing every day at Pelican Reserve. I might not get billed for until the end of September, and they might have happened in June.
Sure.
Sometimes that's the way it works.
But as of right now, your best guess, 10% or some number like that, you think will be about 136,000 to the good by the
Yes.
end of the year. So that 159,000, that's part of the money that's still, you think that's going to be all gone based on your anticipation of bills?
Based on, yes,
That's
of
fine.
our average monthly expenses plus the things
Okay.
approved, so like our winds, the
Sure.
hawthorn and uplighting or whatever, we decided to put those in because,
Okay, thank you.
do you know, paper there, and I try to explain the variances, and I put the, it says October through July date expense variances, and June and July meeting last to make sure it's happening in Pelican. So the pine straw has been installed, the second, rotation of annuals has been installed, the pressure washing, which I already mentioned, has been, done. And then we also had some pressure washing entering the Lido drum, and then, we actually had an additional 10 lights to the Carina, SPL invoice in July of.
Chris, just so everybody can get on track.
Page.
The thing like 2000 YTD expense variances.
Yes.
Karen, it's about 2 pages ahead of, the document.
Sorry, I'm not sure
That's
where
okay.
everything is.
Yeah, they're,
So basically,
Okay.
just like to recap, just to like,
Yeah.
we were for 100, actually added an additional 92 light poles based off of the information I was given Tracy, just to add that additional 16.5 into fiscal year 2016's budget. Well, of those 92 poles, it looks like we've gotten 10 of them already. We were paying for 158, now we're up to 168.
Okay.
So just so you know, I'm gonna keep track of how many lights and where these lights are, so that, compare them against the list that we were given, from WCI, what was, and that we can make sure that we're not, that we are still on track for what we budgeted for fiscal year 2016.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, just basically the street lighting, the big, thing that I, found, is the shared except the water, for account 706551, which I think is the entry, like irrigation, let me see, which one is that? That's heat for utilities.
The entry feature.
That was about $400 higher than it was the prior month. So of course I inquired to Tracy as to why it was, and it was because there was a water main break, which I completely forgot about since I'm not in Pelican. But that's why it was higher. So just to bring that to your attention, that water main break was about $400 added expense to us.
So we have to pay that, just tough luck.
Well, that's what I kind
Okay.
of gathered.
Yeah, okay.
So it's on our side of
Just
the
to let you
meeting.
know that that's, just
Yep.
so it, kind of stuffed away.
Yeah.
So, is there any questions on current, talk about the 16 questions for yours? Before we move forward to the budget.
Okay, let's move.
Using consideration of, paperwork to generate, kind of get a bit for budget modifications based on EAUs, ERUs. ERU basically means the same thing. This is fiscal year being budget 02.
To page 6-7 or,
Agenda page
Agenda
61.
page
61.
61.
thank you.
At that page.
Yep.
And I just thought that this was a very, use, increase our, line items. Way down where it says expenditures, the HOA agreement, that's 16.5, and he has it increased to cover the FPL costs for 92 additional light poles. That was at our request. And then, the transfer to fixed assets reserve, reserves to make up the difference. And then the administrative, service obviously would go up. And then there was a decrease of service to make sure for merit, it was at 4%. Now those $39,000 are being used up, and this was how it was. That being some confusion, when I did the budget, we have used, $24.99 as the number of ERUs. Now, and because I was told that we never calculated in, like the properties that aren't held, we always use the total number of houses that there could be. And even when the land was annexed and now it's back, that WTI was always gonna be paying for that part, so the ERUs would always remain at $24.99, total number of planned homes that had always been planned. So that's why I'd always used whole, I guess, thing about ERUs going up to 28, 58, 56 is that we now seem to be counting, the platted, and counting the commercial parcels, which I was told when I took this position that we never count those. So I have some confusion with the ERUs too. Does anybody have an explanation for
Can
that?
I ask just one question before we get into that one?
Sure.
Under the expenditure column, transfer asset reserve of the 117,589, is that
Right.
just a placeholder until we make a decision as to what to
Yeah,
do with that increase?
that was that's where he popped the money just to make it up. Like that's where
Okay,
he
so
put it.
it's basically a
So he basically increased what we had decided on as a committee was the 245,955, and he bumped that up to make it 363,544. But it's my understanding that we kind of can get to decide what we want to do with that 170.
All right, thank you. That's what my understanding was too.
Yeah, because if you look at agenda page 84, I don't know that we have it, where he did an analysis of fixed asset reserves, which you sent earlier, Chris. I don't know if there's some.
Yes, I do. I have that.
Yeah, there, he doesn't show the 366, he shows 246.
I know, and that kind of was puzzling to me too, and I thought maybe that was just a typo.
Yeah,
I wasn't quite sure why.
I wondered about that.
Maybe these were done very quickly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was confused by that.
Yeah, I know that as well.
Yeah.
So I guess I wrote the ERUs to, provide a good explanation, and actually I had forwarded his emails, I think it was probably back on July 28th, that he basically, this is what he had said about the ERUs. He said the total ERUs for Pelican Reserve increased to 2858.56. Most of the increase was due to a parcel which was annexed into the city and transferred from the general fund to the Pelican Reserve Fund. In addition, a parcel was platted/replatted into residential units. Until all the commercial parcels are platted, the number of EAUs will most likely change each year. And he attached the assessment chart, which shows the breakdown by category, which I believe, let me see if I can find the page number here, because I have that here somewhere
Yeah,
too. That is agenda page 74,
Yeah,
which shows you the breakdown
yep.
by area,
Mm-hmm.
or category. So I don't really understand, and if you also, then he continues to go on, because the EAUs went up so much, meaning 380.20 since last year. So then what I did is I took the 2858.56 and subtracted the 380.20, and that was 2478.36. Well, last year 2478.36. I was always using 24.99. So as of last year, that was still 21 above, or 21 below what I was using last year.
Okay, Chris, this is Nancy.
Yeah.
The ERUs that we should be using when we,
Nancy, can you speak up? I'm having difficulty hearing you.
She needs, wait a minute.
do I need to get closer to that thing?
This thing?
No,
I'm sorry.
there's a,
This thing?
This thing.
There.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, it was covered up.
Okay. Are you going to every, depending on what changes, CI, or if some of the commercial property has been platted, it will change every year, and that's the number that we should be using. And we used to get that number from the management company, the correct number to use. If CI changes, if they, for instance, take the property behind, originally was going to be Bellagio-style homes, and we counted whatever, and then came in and they had the small homes. They came back and went back to Bellagio-style homes. So every year, and every year, mine properties on a lot, and so we have to go by, they will come to the supervisors and plating supervisors and ask for that change. So management company should be able to tell us.
And actually, I think that's, and from what Stephen has said, that's exactly how he said it's gonna come just over. This year, Severn Trent was like changing from, Meredith, I think it was, around this time last year. So I think that's why this kind of really never materialized, or this discussion never came up. So I just kept using $24.99, not realizing that it was supposed to change, because I was told that it should never be more than the number of houses we're gonna have, and that the commercial should never be added, in. So I think that's where the confusion came in.
Okay.
But as long as everybody's on the same page and understands, why they're fluctuating, fine with that. And
Okay.
I just didn't understand that myself.
Yeah, and if you go to back part of the district's budget, they go through and they will recap, for instance, if you're in this type of a home, you're gonna be charged Y, and they have,
Right.
they list the commercial, all total something down at the end and comes across with the budget. So,
Okay.
so that's been in every district I've ever, to the back page of
Yeah,
the homes plus.
and that's what's showing on agenda.
Right.
That's
Right.
that last 24 and 25, I didn't think that there was a 21 ERU difference.
Mhm.
It's about 300, and I brought to, because of,
John, bring it. Is WCI, it's 2,800 number? Was the 800 number?
I would assume so.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a good number.
Added.
It's,
The reason I asked where I left, meetings and at 28, always around 100.
And that- John, commercial be owned, so I don't see, one piece of that on the side of Tree Line where Winn-Dixie is, one piece of that sold back before the market cratered, or right about that time, and it changed hands 2 or 3 times. If that's the piece of property, it may not be WCI separate, on the commercial side, but the district will know who to bill, and the tax assessor will know who to bill. So it's not necessarily WCI. If it's any of the other parcels that's commercial and been, WCI should know about it.
Nancy,
Yeah, I think the
this
thing
is Bob.
is I think that John is thinking the same thing that when I was, because we were told 24.99, because we're thinking of number of homes, not counting in any of the, and I think that's where the confusion is
Yeah,
coming
this
in.
is Bob. The only comment I would put, tagging along with what Nancy just said, is that even though the homes, Tree and Colonial, are in this EAU assessment, not have Pelican Preserve rights, so to speak, to come into the community and use facilities.
Right.
But they do impact the ERU numbers. So the number of homes not exceeding 24.99 has to do with town centers.
And I think, I have the sense that, not use, non-Pelican Preserve to the rest of Gateway because of that shift of the acreage, is that right?
Reed's taken away.
And so they're by the same,
Yes.
yeah.
10x the
Right.
And down the, whatever that they're, side they want, instead of, numbers will change.
So the budget, which was one of what the only allocates to accommodate polls through, for the money reserve categories, our change back in, other than approved, which are, and then 5 was back in meetings, we really,
170 involved.
Now, interesting process, was to have, don't get any input into the other factors that go into the budget.